Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for attending our webinar today. My name is Ashley Limbers, and I'm the marketing lead at Encompass Solutions. At Encompass, we partner with manufacturers like yours to help simplify businesses and maximize ROI with solutions that connect their operations and reduce time-consuming workarounds, streamlining every part of the business. Today, we are discussing critical stages in your business journey when transitioning to a fully automated EDI process when it becomes a strategic decision, presented by Paul Bilodeau and Tanya Sweet. Just a few things before we get started. Today's webinar is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be emailed to you. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. We will bring them up during the Q&A session at the end. We also encourage you to take the survey after today's event. Next, allow me to introduce our speakers for today. First up, we have Paul Bilodeau, a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience in technology sales. As the Director of Sales and Marketing at Encompass Solutions, Paul brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the table. Following Paul, we are grateful to have Tanya Sweet, a true titan in the world of EDI, with an impressive 31 years of experience under her belt. Tanya's journey in this field began in 2007 when she made a transition from healthcare to manufacturing, pioneering the implementation of EDI with Epicor for the very first time. Since then, she has been instrumental in countless projects spanning various industries, showcasing her versatility with depth of knowledge. In 2018, Tanya played a pivotal role in the launch of Encompass Solutions Entrust EDI product, and we are excited to have her with us today. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Paul, over to you.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome, Anya. Thank you, Ashley. And so we want to answer the question today, when is the right time for you to consider automating your EDI solution, implementing an automated EDI solution, integrating that with your ERP, and stop doing things that might be considered manual and time consuming and just overall a pain in the you-know-what. So how we're going to do that is we'll just touch on that with our agenda. So we're going to talk a little bit about the current challenges in manufacturing. This is based on some feedback that we've been getting from our clients and potential clients as well, and colleagues in the industry. And then we'll get into the understanding of what is EDI automation, the benefits of EDI automation / integration, considerations for integration. We'll share a few success stories of actual clients, and then we'll dive into scalability of future-proofing, and then lastly, we'll have time for some questions from you all. So let's get started. Ashley, we're going to do a poll first, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
So we have two poll questions. And the first question, do you currently utilize EDI in your manufacturing operations? Yes, no, or what is EDI? And then the second question is, what are the main challenges you face or anticipate facing in adopting or managing an EDI solution? And you can select all that apply: integration with existing systems, cost considerations, training and onboarding of staff, security concerns, compliance with industry standards and regulations, or other. So please feel free to take this poll, and we'll show the results in about 20 seconds. Need some Jeopardy music. All right, we'll go ahead and share those results. So for question one, do you currently utilize EDI in your manufacturing operations? It looks like 100% of the attendees today do not have an EDI solution in place, which is a good thing because you are in the right place for that. And then it looks like a lot of you, the main challenge is training and onboarding staff. So, all right.
Oh. All right. Well, Thank you for that, Ashley, and interesting results there. Let's take a look at a few things with regards to the in general. So we'll talk about some of the challenges. Perfect. All right, great graphic. Yes. So here's some challenges that we saw, and I'll just run through these quickly. Um, Data accuracy and timeliness, of course, and this is with respect to all manufacturing. And we hear countlessly from owners, senior leadership, that I can't get my hands on the data to make the right decision. And whenever I do, it usually arrives late or it's inaccurate. And how am I supposed to make business decisions? So there's this inaccuracy and not very timely data that I always struggle to get. These are what business owners are saying in the manufacturing space. Regulatory compliance is another burden on our business, but a necessity for doing business. Globalization and localization is another challenge in our business. We're constantly dealing with suppliers and customers that are beyond our local area, and we're trying to be relevant to each of those areas that we serve and that we buy from. And then integration with ERP systems, definitely a struggle that we see out there. There's a lot of fear around what is the right ERP system for us. We are speaking mainly about EDI solutions here, but there's certainly, as you will know, that there's benefits to integrating with your ERP to make it more seamless. Inventory management is weighing on people. There's struggles around how do I have a minimum inventory? How do I have just-in-time inventory management? But at the same time, how do I guarantee that supply so that I'm not creating a bottleneck or barriers to the production commitments that we have? And then demand forecasting, looking out and finding out what does our demand look like? Can we meet that demand? Are we prepared to meet that demand? Again, challenges in that area, scalability and flexibility I touched on. But the big one here is number 8, the supply chain complexity. So we've all heard the woes of supply chain, and there's things that can be done in the EDI space that can relieve some of those challenges. There's been more advancements in that area. So we'll touch a little bit more on that, but these are the top 8 that we see. And just to touch on the supply chain a little bit more, there's this whole fear, if you will, around how do we avoid making mistakes? How do we avoid inaccurate information, inaccurate communication with our suppliers that jeopardize us getting the products or the materials on time in order for us to assemble or work into our manufacturing process? And so if we mess with the communications between us and our suppliers, or we are not meeting requirements that our suppliers put on us or that our customers put on us, then we jeopardize perhaps being penalized with fees, or jeopardize of losing a particular large account that's so near and dear to our business. Or it could be that we are creating these bottlenecks and barriers and disruptions to our business simply because we're not maybe completing the right document at the right time in the right manner for some of these suppliers and or customers. So all of that can create additional stresses on top of all of the disruptions in general to the ecosystem of the supply management chain. So that's a big one that we see. And I don't know, Tanya, if you have any comments on whether or not you're seeing customers talk about it.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Just
Sure.
in the new world of whatever we live in, right? We're trying to do just in time everything. It's not just manufacturing anymore, right? We want to have just the right amount of everything right when we need it, and no excess extra. But then things happen like COVID and settles us out of, where our ships aren't coming in, and it's crazy. So anything we can do to control that is obviously going to be a win.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Right.
So let's switch over to talking about, the topic at hand with EDI integration and automation, and maybe you can give us a better understanding of what that means for the audience.
Sure. So an official definition of what we would say full EDI integration is seamless electronic exchange of business documents between different computer systems or platforms using a standardized format and protocol. This integration enables the automated and efficient exchange of data between trading partners, such as businesses, suppliers, and customers. So what that means, in a less technical way, is we're passing documents no longer on paper, no longer on fax, no longer on email, but electronic documents are moving throughout our entire order, order to cash process, including it could be inventory movements. All of those pieces can all now be automated, where we're managing things by exception instead of by every single thing has to be touched. So this is what I just said. I'm ahead of myself, sorry. So we're catching the exceptions when somebody accidentally orders the wrong part number. That we'll have to touch because someone needs to make a phone call and find out what we really needed. But the whole bigger picture, things are just moving. Orders are coming in and they're automatically being scheduled to be either manufactured or just shipped, depending on your business. People don't even necessarily need to know it was an EDI order anymore. Everything is automated behind the scenes, so that when you're touching orders, you can just focus on your business and how you want things to work, where the behind the scenes things are just happening. We know we have to send out an advanced shipment notice to, for example, Amazon within 30 minutes of it leaving our dock. They have to get that. Well, that can take a human a lot of time to figure out how to get that there in time, or when we automate it, that just happens and we don't have to spend our time trying to figure out what's going on.
What if it doesn't happen, Tanya? And if it's 45 minutes instead of 30 minutes?
Right. Amazon fines. They're especially Amazon, but a lot of trading partners and a lot of customers are fining us. And so we definitely do not want that to happen. That can be costly quickly. And of course, we want to eliminate that cost completely. And if we're doing it by hand, which is what some people are still doing, right? They're going to a portal and typing it in. There's a lot of room for error there as well. And Amazon doesn't care how they got the data wrong. If they got the data wrong, they got the data wrong. So you'll also get a fine at that point. It's the same thing. So some benefits, right, are we're going to increase our efficiency and productivity. All of these people, and they're valuable assets to our company, right? They're people, right? They're not computers. We want to free them up to do the things that people need to do and people excel at, and allow the things that can be automated to be automated. We talked just a minute ago about a little bit of data entry errors. We don't want those data entry errors. That's really just because humans are doing it and we're prone to errors. We're prone to, typing in a 1 instead of a 2 or whatever the case may be. We don't want that. That shouldn't be happening. And accuracy comes right behind that, right? Our accuracy, if we forgot to change a date when we were typing something in, our accuracy goes off. But if a computer grabbed a date from a trading partner, put a date into your ERP, that's not going to be wrong. And that makes it, of course, way more accurate. And then those scorecards that we have with some customers, there are some pretty hefty fines and hefty consequences for having bad scorecards. And so we want to do whatever we can to keep the scorecards on the positive side. And then all of those things together make your communications with your customers just better. People are happier. Customers aren't saying, "Where's my stuff?" They've got all the data that they need from automation, not from you sending an email, right at their fingertips. So what are the components of a seamless integration, right? We need an order to cash workflow. You can automate pieces of that, but it's sure a whole lot better to automate the entire process. So from orders are coming into our ERP automatically without people being involved unless there's an exception. That order gets processed through however it needs to get processed for the business. It gets shipped and it gets invoiced. And all of the documents that the trading partner needs on the flip side, have all gone out automatically. No human had to push any buttons. No human had to do anything except manage exceptions. So automation just makes things faster, and you're not as tied to the details. There's always going to be some manual intervention. Like I mentioned earlier, we got a part number that doesn't exist in our ERP. I'm not quite sure what my trading partner wants. That's going to still take some human intervention. But having a visibility to that and triggers to know you need to go look at that and call a customer are going to be important. And then we want to regularly review our processes and make sure that what we have automated is working. Can we make it better, right? Anything can be programmed better. So we want to make sure that we're constantly evaluating what we have and where we could go and where can we find some additional savings in the process. So some considerations for integration. Sometimes when it might just be time, you realize that it's really time for us to stop doing things in a certain way and find a better way to do it. Some of our legacy expertise, our on-staff people, are Gen X, right? The people who we started using computers. I'm Gen X, so I can say we started using computers and we went, why are we doing this? We can do this faster. And we started writing our own programs and we started automating everything. A lot of those the things that we wrote back in the 90s and the 2000s still exist because they work and no one's thought to replace them. But Gen X is starting to age and some Gen Xers are thinking about retirement. And now we've got this old legacy EDI solution that's been working forever. But once, Bob retires, we're not going to have any ability to do anything. So that's it's interesting how much that's happening in the industry right now, that all the homegrown stuff people are starting to realize that is not the way of the future. And I think that just the world changing in the last few years has added to that too. We need to not have all of our eggs in one bucket. I think that's the metaphor. I'm very bad at metaphors. So we don't want to, oh, it's eggs in a basket, isn't it? Sorry. We don't want to lose our whole EDI department to a retirement and not be able to function on EDI the day after that retirement. So it's a great time to automate. Surge in transaction volume, right? Everything has started just moving at warp speed, and we're getting more and more of everything. So rising transactions, right? Yet last 3 years ago, we used to do 20 orders a week. Now we're doing 200 orders a week. That's significant. And we need to have something. Sorry, my my PowerPoint is not responding. Here we go. Rising transactions volume. That's what I was just talking about, the strain on resources. So the person who could enter 20 orders a week now cannot enter 200 by hand. We need to free up that person and automate and let them go do what they do best. And that's usually customer service, right? We don't want them just sitting in front of a computer or typing in all day. So if we can automate that solution, then we become more efficient quickly. Changes in technology platforms. We're using a legacy EDI system, but we're moving our ERP to the cloud. How is that ever going to work? We've got to reinvent the wheel here, or maybe it's just time to automate and stop doing things the way we used to and move to the cloud. Sometimes it's just an outdated EDI solution. Sometimes it's a homegrown EDI solution. Sometimes it's no EDI solution at all, and we're moving to a new ERP. Maybe it's time to use EDI. We want to move to a modern cloud native EDI solution that will seamlessly integrate with cloud-based ERPs. And then integration during an ERP migration. It's the same thing I was a little bit talking about. As we're changing our ERPs or we're upgrading our ERPs, it might be time to automate. It might not have worked well in the old versions. It might have come a long way since the version. If I'm on version 6 and now we're on version 10, there may be a whole lot of increases in your ERP's capabilities of integrating. And so considering that while considering an ERP upgrade is going to be pretty important. Managing our growing partner complexity. I used to have 3 trading partners that made me do EDI. Now everyone is asking, or not everyone, but maybe 10, 20 more people, more customers of yours are asking for EDI. It was fine. I could handle 3 customers, but boy, I don't think I can handle 20. I need to do something different. And a lot of times that's logging into someone's portal and pulling data out, and then typing it into your ERP and then letting the process happen, and then taking data out of your ERP and typing it back into portals. Well, 3 portals is maybe, that's even a lot, but that's maybe manageable. But when you have 5 more customers waiting to onboard for EDI, that's 5 more portals. Now you're just making things much more difficult. So that's a great time to automate too. We can stop the portal madness and just let it all flow through some seamless integrations. So leveraging expert guidance, excuse me. We're navigating our technology and business evolutions, right? We're trying to do all of the things. And maybe sometimes it's important to not try to do the things that you're not an expert in, and to let those of us who have lived and breathed EDI for many, many years help you navigate through that. Sometimes just an extra set of eyes or a new perspective can help you realize that maybe this automation thing is a good idea. And then a complete business process review is a great idea to go in and say, okay, where can we automate? What have we got going? What are some repeatable activities that are happening every day that we can automate and take out of users' hands and free them up to do what they're really good at? All right. Paul, did you have any thoughts on that?
Well, just, I mean, there's a common concerns or challenges that we see, or triggers, if you use another term, that we see often. Sometimes it's just like the volume is so great, and we were doing it manually, and it's just that's gotten old. And we see that it's time for our people to leverage automation technology, because this is outdated, there's too much risk. And one thing that we're hearing a lot, Tanya, is that we're hiring these individuals that, frankly, they're much younger than me, that are used to using technology, and they grew up with technology, and then we're asking them to manually enter these things, and they're like, seriously?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And so there's something to attracting and retaining quality staff by giving them and enabling them with not bleeding technology, but leading, or at least with the times technology, that they can be more productive in their work and have more interesting work, feel more purposeful, as opposed to feeling like a data entry robot. So there's a lot more to that than I had expected, that we're hearing more frequently.
Yeah, those are really great points. Totally agree with there. So I think we have some customer success stories to share here.
All right. Well, I can take the first one, and then you can help me, Tanya.
Yeah.
Of course, you're just as familiar with these as well. So you've got first company. We're going to leave the names of the innocent out, and we want to make sure that we protect the anonymity of our clients as per their request. But we do want to share with you their experience. And so the first one is just a high quality switches and electronic components customers. They're manufacturing these switches and electronic components for outdoor power equipment manufacturers, and that spills over into the automotive industry. And so they're switching EDI providers, and they needed to switch EDI providers because they transitioned to an ERP solution. So new ERP means the existing solution for EDI needs to be addressed as well. So they wanted an individual, an organization with a platform that would be able to handle this. And they wanted to make sure that it aligns with this rollout of the ERPs. Well, so there was a lot of moving parts here, and
Yes.
was interesting that there is a nuance to the automotive industry that not all technologies will work with. So in this case, we were able to come in with a solution, the Entrust solution, with the experience that we have with the automotive industry, and also address not only customers that they're dealing with, but the rare case where now it's some suppliers. And so there's an example of somebody who says the trigger event was new ERP solution. That means new EDI provider, which means how do we coordinate all this? There's a lot of moving parts. We need to switch over to the new ERP without disrupting our business and risking our relationships with accounts. And so maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on what we touched on. But again, it's somewhat common, but a great example.
Yeah. They were quite a complicated, not even complicated, but they had a lot of moving parts. They had inbound, like you said, inbound from customers, but also outbound to their suppliers. Some financial records. There were a lot of different moving parts. And as you touched on as well, the automotive big equipment people have some pretty unique requirements themselves. And so finding someone who already knew all of those nuances and pitfalls was really an added asset to this customer, to have someone who already said, well, I know how to deal with that because I've dealt with it many times before. So that was a good one for them. Do you want me to talk about the next one?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a look at the next one.
So this is this was our retiring staff example. It was one of the reasons I even thought of this. Customer came to us and said, so our staff wants to retire and they can't because EDI is very specific to them and to what they've built and what they've done all these years. And we need to do something so that our poor Mr. Bob over in the corner can retire. And so we went in and said, okay, well, what have you already built? What are you already doing? They didn't really want to hire new people. They really wanted to automate and make it a little more seamless for their users, and then just use their existing staff to augment anything that they needed. And so we were able to just go in there and realize what they were doing, and then bring our Entrust solution in to take the place of humans doing it. And it just streamlined everything for them. It's brought a lot of efficiency to them. And then now Bob can retire. He hasn't yet, interestingly, but he's going to. His real name isn't Bob.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. And again, how many times do we see that where you've got this very unique workaround systems, and you imagine the individual behind the curtain that somehow makes it
Yeah.
work. And we sure hope that nothing happens to this individual, because if they do, oh my goodness, we don't know who's going to step in and pull this all together, because we don't understand what the magician has created, but somehow it works. And that is a lot of pressure on the Bobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's put in a system that doesn't rely on just Bob.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, this is a good one. So, when we're describing these situations, this one is volume increased, doing things manually is getting old, doesn't make sense anymore, and there's justification in the investment in an EDI integration so that we don't have to do things manually anymore with all this volume and all this complexity. So, it's like, just stop the madness. Why are we doing this manually?
Yes.
That's the high level overview, but maybe you can give greater insight on this than I am.
Right. Well, they were literally considering hiring another resource to help enter orders when someone said, wait, what? Why would we do that? Can't we automate this in some way and get something out of it in the end? So they started looking around to see who could help them, of course. And we were able to step in and help. They were a pretty simple it was a pretty fast onboarding and getting them up to speed and going, because they were all customers we'd done millions of times before. So it was a pretty fast implementation, and their staff is back to doing their customer service roles. They're not just being data entry clerks. So yeah,
So,
that's been a good one.
this is a good one, Tanya, because if we go back to the poll and one of the questions that was asked, what comment was, well, challenge with training our people in the EDI function. So
Yeah,
how did the transition and training go with staff to be involved?
yeah. So it's a good question. For the most part, our product, the Entrust product, is very user friendly. So it's not, the IT team doesn't have to manage it. Customer service people can manage it. That was kind of a goal of our software, was to make it user friendly so that we aren't relying on IT. IT's got to still keep all the wheels running in the background that they do every day for everything. But if your network goes down, our software is going to go down. But they're good at keeping that stuff going. And so the everyday work is now done by automation, and the customer service people, or people whatever role they're in, are now able to do their regular role and just do EDI for a few minutes a day to make sure that there aren't any exceptions that they have to deal with.
So there's the little alerts or triggers or notifications that say, hey,
emails and yep, all of those things.
Right. Otherwise, it's running smoothly.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's awesome. So scalability and future proofing, right? We want to ensure that we're going to keep EDI growing as your business grows. So we're seeing a lot of that growth everywhere right now. But a new little niche that's kind of coming out is 3PLs and warehousing, right? So we put all of our inventory into a 3PL and they're shipping for us. Well, how are we communicating with them? Are we doing that via email, phone calls? What are we doing? That's another piece that EDI can actually help with automation in that corner as well. So as you're growing, right, you don't want to have to change your EDI platform because I need to now work with the 3PL. You want to make sure that whatever integration you're using now can actually grow with you and take on these new areas, cloud, all of those things that are coming. We might be adding more layers to our shipping and production environment. So I'm shipping some from a 3PL, I'm shipping some from an external warehouse, I'm shipping some from our warehouse. All of those pieces have to work together to play nice to get the automation and integration working. And in the future, who knows what's going to come, right? We're seeing a bit more on the financial side, where we're getting remittance devices and automating that back into ERPs as well. I think that's probably the next area we're going to see a lot more growth in, as people realize that we don't have to just use what we have, the check stub that came in the mail or whatever else is happening. Some of our bank transfers are doing that in some fashion, but a lot of times they're not integrated into your ERP. So you log into your bank, you print out the report, you type it all into the computer. And so you want to make sure that the EDI solution that you choose is going to grow with you, and it's not going to just leave you in the same situation you were when you automated. You want to make sure that we're doing all of that. And then let's see, I'm going to toss this back to Ashley to see if we've got any questions.
Great. Thank you, Paul and Tanya, for that insightful information. We'll go ahead and take time for questions. Just a reminder to please type those into the question box in your control panel. And it looks like we had a couple of questions come in. Our first question is, and this is for either one of you, what are some KPI or metrics that can be used to measure the success of an EDI integration with my ERP?
I could grab that. I think a real key indicator is how much staff time did we free up, right? I think that's a really easy thing to measure. I used to spend 3 hours a day entering things on portals, and now I spend 15 minutes a day making sure there's no exceptions. That's an easy one there. Another one that we touched on earlier was your scorecards with your suppliers or with your customers. Those are easy to tell if they've gone up or down based on your automation, and hopefully they've gone up, of course. Those are just some really key, easy things to see where you've gotten some definite benefits from automating. Paul, did you have anything else on that?
No, I think those are great. There may be something in ESAT survey, employee satisfaction survey as well, to speak about
Oh yeah.
the change to automation and the introduction to technology within that role that replaces a manual, tedious, boring, beat my head against the wall kind of routine, with the ability to now work on more interesting work and be more purposeful in my role and not have to do some of these monotonous things. So I think that could be another indicator as well that ties into maintaining employee satisfaction. Indeed.
Yeah, and especially Bob. We've made Bob very happy. He can finally retire and leave it knowing it's in good hands.
Those are some great points. Looks like we have another question here. What resources are available to my business while we're considering the process of implementing EDI with our ERP system?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a pretty good website, ediautomation.com. It's got some information, and we're constantly adding to that as well. SPS Commerce also has a great website with tons of information and tons of ways to get information and tons of ways to ask questions. So our website, you can ask questions as well. There's the chat feature. And at the SPS website are really great. And I think we have some handouts that we're sending after this webinar, at least one. So that's also a great resource that will tell you how to get better resources. And you know, I'm just a phone call away.
Yes, you are. Perfect. And Tanya, since you mentioned SPS, can you tell our attendees, can you give us a little background on who SPS is?
Oh yeah, for sure. SPS is a full service provider. And they are a great resource for an integration that it makes everything really fast and seamless. And they work with, I believe their number is over 4,000 different trading partners across their network. And so they've already got all the relationships in place with the Grangers and Amazons and Tractor Supply and all of those big retailers, also the automotive industry, of course, where onboarding is so fast because they've worked with them how many times? 100 times probably, or more, depending on the trading partner. And they can just quickly pivot and get you up and going on their fulfillment platform before we even have to get you integrated into your ERP. So it's a great interim piece. It's still a lot of data entry into a portal, but the beauty of it is that it's one portal and not 15 of all across all of your trading partners. And so we partner with them for a lot of our implementations because we've done it enough times and it just goes really quickly and seamlessly because of our times of doing it together. I know there's a more professional word than that, but that's my word.
Perfect. Thank you, Tanya. It looks like we've covered all of our questions today. And before we move on to the next slide, Paul and Tanya, was there anything else that you wanted to cover before we go today?
Just that when you have someone like Tanya that you can access and ask questions and bounce ideas around, she is a wonderful resource to do that. And so we could set up some time with Tanya. And it's funny because Tanya is always saying, and I'm not a salesperson. So, you know, there's no pressure to have a conversation and to explore options. The idea is just to talk about your situation and find out what might be the best solution. And it might not be our solution. And that's okay. So.
Thank you, Paul. Tanya, was there anything you...
Yeah, I didn't have anything else. I've already talked so much.
Perfect. If you could transition to the next slide. Great. Thank you so much. And for you that attended today, we have this free EDI readiness checklist. And so this will help you determine if you should pursue an EDI project with Entrust for your business. And so all you have to do is download, scan the QR code, and you can download the EDI checklist. and just let us know if you have any questions. There's also a QR code to get your EDI health checkup. So scan that as well, fill out the form, and a member of our team will contact you. Yep, perfect. And you can always reach out to us at edisupport@encompassinc.com. Visit our website, www.ediautomation.com. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Stay up to date with the latest events on our website. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.